Hello, Academy fans, and welcome back to our first semifinal series between Team Liquid and CLG Academy. Game 4 is coming right up, and CLG Academy are just one win away from advancing to the finals next week. And a big reason for that is thanks to Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely had a monstrous game on the Corki. We're talking about CLG Red Side counter picks all series long. And this is the first one that really felt like it popped off hard as a result of seeing the enemies pick. You heard the AD talking about it, the Galio-Corki matchup. Pretty easy for Corki. Back when Galio was more meta, we saw a lot more Corki, but it's nice to see that come back. He takes the call, he scales up, his team gets triple Infernal, and all of a sudden, this Corki is destroying and deleting people's health bars.
Turns out when you have a champion that is just highly specialized and tuned towards doing damage, and you get 3 Drakes that make you do more damage, you do a lot of damage, Mark.
Yeah, you do a lot of damage. And a big tip of the cap also has to go to Wiggly, who he's chatting with right now on your screen, who kind of gave up a lot to get that second Infernal Drake. And like you said, the difference between 24 to 0% bonus damage compared to 8 to 16, pretty massive. So no surprise that Wiggly's decision to put a down payment on losing the game for the next 5-10 minutes to have a better chance of fighting for the next Drake and having more damage come 2025 paid off.
Don't worry, boys, we scale. The classic motto of making games happen, making the comebacks real.
It scaled only the 25 minutes, though, because as soon as they hit that, they're like, we don't need to scale anymore.
We still have yet to see a game hit 30 minutes in this series.
Now, that said, that is how the CLG series went versus Clutch, or excuse me, versus, no, it was 100 Thieves. It was a similar thing. Both 3 games were all under like 30 minutes. I think one was like 31. And then
that doesn't count?
Yeah, and then it slowed down a lot. Well, the last 2.
We are going to continue with the trend so far. CLG have selected Red Side. So 4 games, 4 CLG Red Sides now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to criticize it right now without the Aatrox looking like a must ban. It still looks strong, but it looks more like you can ignore it a little bit up in the top lane. Yeah, it's beating the Poppy, it's getting some CS leads and maybe some pressure, but if you're building leads elsewhere on the map, it's actually not that bad to give up for CLG right now. And we saw a little bit of attention to the top side, but Hard was not able to find any of those ganks as the CCs never quite lined up well enough to get onto the Poppy.
Fallen Bandit kept doing a very good job of using a steadfast presence to escape the chains into Seismic Shove combo as well. And I guess as long as the Aatrox isn't just running away with the game, it's an acceptable loss. Taking a look at how the bans play out here in game number 3. 4 identical bans, 5 identical bans.
And we see 6 identical bans.
Well, wait, hold on. We see 6 identical bans.
Can I see a similar first pick?
We're gonna see a similar first pick. We've got 7 out of 7 so far.
Can I see a Braum?
Do we get to see Braum, sir? Sir?
This auction really slowed down.
Come on. Somebody raise your paddle with a number on it.
Got Braum going once.
Braum going twice.
Braum got 8 more seconds before it goes the 3rd time.
We started a little bit early.
Oh, Graves.
Okay, it's still one of the same picks, though, as in a previous game in the series.
It makes sense because there were a lot of jungle bans that were getting thrown to the second ban phase because they were matching the other positions. So
it was banned out last game.
Right. It was actually banned out the second game as well, I believe.
It picked in the first.
Right. So
I'm not a liar.
Good adaptations by CLG there to get Wiggly onto a better scaling champ for himself. Yes, the Trundle worked out just fine, but I think he wants a little bit more playmaking under his own control. So no surprise to see him go for that. And the Poppy, once again, instantly getting answered.
You pick Aatrox, we pick Poppy. CLG seems to be perfectly okay with that statement here against TLA. Let's see. What do you go for here, TLA? You going to switch anything up? They will switch something up. They're going with the Trundle themselves. Remember, this is the one that facilitated Insanity's success in game number 2 that TLA won.
Right, and a lot of that was comboed because of the Cassidon pick as well. What's interesting here is by CLG taking the Graves and the Poppy together, they kind of both make Trundle a good and bad pick simultaneously because the Graves traditionally has tempo on the Trundle, can bully him pretty hard depending on how aggressively you play that matchup, while also you have a Poppy now and a main tank for the Trundle to ult. And so CLG, by taking both of them at the same time, makes the Trundle pick a little weird, and I'm not quite sure I love it here because it's like, hey, we got the Trundle again for hard, and it's into Poppy, but then if it costs you your early game tempo, I'm not quite sure how well it'll work out because if Poppy plays the top lane aggressively, as we saw after the first 3 levels, you get control of that, and the Graves is hovering around the top side, that might actually be a really smart adaptation by CLG to control that Aatrox, who previously we said they were just ignoring and hope didn't run over the game.
Well, with Braum picked up by Team Liquid Academy, Braum still remains at a full 100% pick rate for this series. CLG Academy is going to grab themselves the Shen. And with Poppy already selected, this is either top lane Shen with jungle Poppy, or it's top lane Poppy with support Shen.
And I am tending towards the latter. Yep. I think the Shen should be heading bot lane, and this was a champion I kind of mentioned in a meeting, I think, with somebody, where we were talking about, like, with the TK nerfs that came in and the global ults not being available on him, Shen might come back into presence. There's no more Tom Kench, who is a bit of a Shen counter. You can trade auto attacks with him very aggressively and be able to devour him up and spit him back out, and then you have his ult to match Shen's, and so a lot of times Tom Kench, when he's very strong in the meta, just becomes a better Shen in a lot of ways, also providing more appeal for your marksman that you pair him up with. And with that out of the meta, looks like CLG went with that Shen pick.
CLG also going to remove some global power from the AD carry pool, getting rid of the Ashe. They'll also ban out Ryze as their opponents ban out Syndra. Wanted to make sure Tuesday's not on that one there in the mid lane. Once again, though, with CLG being red side, that means they will have the opportunity to counter pick mid no matter what it is, as long as that is their preference. Akali, the final ban of this match.
Yeah, don't want to give that one over to Tuesday. Feels like TLA is in the mindset. They want to be able to counter it, but if they wait till the last pick, the Akali will be able to come in, so they just keep banning that one out. This time, nope, it's the Varus once again.
That is 4 out of 4 for Otto on the Varus.
Yeah, I mean,
series.
This is why Varus in best of ones is often so high priority, because you can kind of just blind it and take it, but it's not quite strong enough to see banned a lot of the time, so it just gets taken red side early on to hide your picks for later. In the best of 5, though, more power picks have emerged, and Varus is kind of falling down. STL also prioritized the Kai'Sa for Shoryu, and looks like that's what they're hovering onto again here.
I was really hoping for the Vayne, and I let myself get my hopes up, and I feel bad about that now.
You're silly.
I know. Joey's hovering Janna, which is one of his own favorite picks in the game. I highly doubt we'll see it, considering Braum's already been picked.
Yeah, a lot of discussion with Viper, of all people, it looked like there. So maybe seeing some flex coming in, but actually not the case. Maybe he was just sharing his thoughts on the mid lane champion, which is going to be probably not Zoe who got nerfed. Probably is Zoe who got nerfed. It will be
Zoe who got nerfed. Remember, this champion has been seeing an incredible amount of play all around the world. It's part of the reason why she got nerfed. We'll see how effective those nerfs are here, as Insanity will pilot this champion for the first time this series. And as CLG, what do you take into it? Pre-nerf Zoe sort of had this situation where you don't have the normal 3 choices in your lane opponent of, do I beat this, do I lose to this, or do I go even? You either beat Zoe or you lose. Yeah, there's not really a go even with Zoe. It's one of the two. Now that she's been nerfed, I'm not sure if that's the truth anymore, if that's the way that it still works, but Orianna is one of those picks that, similar to what you said about Varus, you can kind of pick it into whatever.
Yeah, that's definitely the case where there's not too many matchups that go even, and traditionally, Zoe beats a lot of control mages, Orianna being one of them, but if there's ever a control mage that has a chance to go even versus Zoe after these nerfs, wouldn't be surprised to see it with Orianna. She also got a really, really tiny base MR nerf, but the Zoe ones, mostly being damage off her passive, both base damage and ability power ratio, as well as the ability power ratio on her W orbs that spin around her. So all things considered, that is a pretty substantial nerf come the mid and late game. You did lose a fair amount of ability power on those, which harms not only her one-shot potential with the passive damage getting dropped, but also the ability to miss all your skill shots and still deal damage, which Zoe is notoriously good at.
This should help kill some of those special I'm a Cutie Pie stream clip moments where Zoe just fires everything off into the woods and auto attacks you 3 times with 2 stolen ignites and kills you anyway. That shouldn't be as effective as previously, but we'll see exactly how this match plays out. We know this champion can run away with the game and be incredibly oppressive if it gets ahead. The ability to fire the bubbles through the wall, cut your opponents off as they try to make rotations between their lanes defending. Team Liquid Academy can definitely use that pick well if they get ahead this game, like what they did in game number 3.
Yeah, I think all things considered, TLA should not be too discouraged. I mean, we saw Joey kind of looking very frustrated after that Baron situation that cost them the last game, but I mean, you still have a lot of positives to take away from that game as well. I wouldn't say just look at it and chalk all of it up to Drake RNG. There's still a lot of things they can improve from that game as well, but it was a very unique game, let's say.
On to the Rift for the 4th time today. Remember, CLG is at match point. If they win this one, they win this semifinal, and they're going on to the Academy Worlds Grand Finals next weekend. NA team in the Grand Finals, Mark.
Yeah, going to be hosted once again in the illustrious LCS studio.
Feels good, man.
I don't know what they're pulling out, but for the Academy Worlds, they always go all out.
Well, let's see how all out these teams want to go. If you're Team Liquid, you have no more chances to give your opponents a win. You've got to win the next 2 in a row to make it happen here. And Mark, what is that symbol that I see in the top left of my screen right now?
It is an Infernal Drake.
Look at that. We got another fight over this damn thing, Drake, and I am excited.
You know, I like Infernal Drakes.
Me too.
I like seeing what they make people do because a lot of the other Drakes are relatively passive pickups. And the Infernal Drake is a lot more reminiscent of the older Drakes where you're like, I want that power now.
Yup.
And that's what I like to see. What I don't like to see is that's a tangent for a different show.
That's a tangent for a different show. All right, we'll keep that one on the other channel as right now we see bottom lane already breaking out in some early fights here as Phil dashes forward with that Shen to find a little bit of damage onto Joey. And let's talk about Joey because we talked earlier about players playing on stage in Academy and how this is a situation that's very different from playing the best of ones throughout the regular split and having to adapt to best of 5 and adapt to playing on stage. And we saw from the player cams last game, Joey died in multiple fights. He did not have a very good game number 3. And specifically, that's what you've got to look at in these situations. How well can you bounce back? How strong is your mental?
And I like the decision to move off Pyke. I mean, he had a couple cute plays in game 2 with the flash E forward, delivering the Galio a couple of times, but really did not come together last game, and it was pretty volatile all around. So I like the stabilization onto the Braum pickup, also pulling it away from Phil, who's kind of playing a lot of that pick. So I like the decision to get the Braum there. You know, you're not playing a team that needs necessarily more playmaking, though it's always fine. But that last game, I wouldn't say scared me off it, but good to see the diversity coming in.
Hard will move himself towards the bottom side, walks right over a ward as Otto and Phil have to get themselves away from this.
Nice
one. Pillar's
pillar.
gonna come out, makes them both plenty slow. Otto tries to get himself out, does manage to avoid the stun for concussive blows. 2 TP's gonna be coming in. Shoryu stunned up against the wall. First blood goes over to Fallen Bandit. As now the arrows will rain down, Team Liquid will walk away 1 man shy.
Really nice reaction there by CLG Academy, getting the early TP in, you know, honestly, a couple of seconds before Viper, who might not have thought he needed to match because they were the ones going for that gank. Also a nice counter out by Wiggly to be able to get in on that play as well, where sometimes it can be a little difficult when the Trundle's going for a 2 camping down path that he went for. This is really, oh, he started on blue, excuse me. I stand corrected, but one thing that I want to point out here is how good of a job they did holding their flashes and Phil being able to take the autos and going for the taunt. And then he gets 2 stacks, and then the third Braum one doesn't actually get the stun or anything, so Otto's able to walk forward and get back involved in this fight to get some more damage down. Just really clean play by CLG Academy's bot lane, not panicking just because there's a Trundle about to start hitting them with the Braum, knowing that they want to stall it out as much as they can to allow the rest of their team to collapse.
Fallen Bandit works his way back up to the top side. Of course, he will be down in farm a bit because of the fact that Viper's got control over the lane right now. That wave is built. It will start building up a little bit as Fallen Bandit simply has to look on and wait for Viper to push that back towards him. I don't think he's feeling too sad about it, though, considering he did get the first blood by going into the bot lane, keeping his team safe.
Nope, that's exactly what the Poppy wants to do. Make it not about the lane matchup, but about the rest of the map. And you get to see Fallen Bandit, you know, quietly being a big performer for them in this series. Playing a lot of difficult matchups where he's, you know, often reacting to the fact that his team is leaving up power picks that Viper usually can smash on. And Viper's played well as well, but he's getting the first pick every single game just about. And Fallen Bandit's been up to the task of going pretty even with him.
You like to see that coming from one of your players that is tasked with surviving the enemy carry. When you know you're up against the guy who does the heavy lifting for your team, when your specific job is to guard the MVP type dude, and you just have to play a tank and get through it, that's pretty daunting sometimes, because you know if you let him get away with it, if you fail your job, the entirety of him collapsing on the rest of your team across the map is going to be on you.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those, you know, to make a comparison in sports, if the other guy's a superstar shooting guard and you're just supposed to go 1v1 defend him, no help coming, that's a tall task. But yeah, I mean, he's doing it. Wiggly has really knocked on topside very much this series, spending a lot more time around the mid and the bot side, especially with some of this Drake RNG. There's so much focus to be ready to fight over these.
Wiggly is walking over a ward as he goes into the enemy jungle yet again, and this sort of plays into what you were talking about earlier, Mark, with how Graves can just take advantage of Trundle early on here, just beat him up over and over again if he finds him, and he's not afraid of bumping into Hard in the jungle. We'll use those Scryers blooms to keep an eye on him. He wanted to go counter jungle the chicken camp again, only to find that it's still counter jungled from where he was at it before. Hard never moved up to clear that away. As bottom side, we'll see if Hard can make the play happen here. Flashes in the pillar. They've got Otto. He's already gone. Nice play from TLA.
Really nice to see. They did not use that many flashes in the first gank attempt. They were able to kind of walk up due to the pillar and the fact that CLG was baiting them in and saving their flashes for the last possible second. And as a result, they're able to then re-gank the bot lane. Very intelligent play, and this will reward them with their Infernal Drake.
Yeah, Team Liquid Academy says, all right, we just killed the enemy AD carry. We just saw the top laner go top to grab the crab. Why don't we just grab this Drake? And TLA will find success with that one as Wiggly finds half his health, 2/3 of his health bar removed. Trouble Bubble into Paddle Star, as effective as ever.
Yep, still does a lot of damage, but not quite as much damage. And Viper continues this alone time in the top lane, building that CS lead up to 20. Getting a little out of hand.
But it's still CLG Academy that has the gold lead for now. And bottom side, they're looking to make the play here again. Phil will buy some time, trying to get himself away. He says, I've still got the flash. I can get myself out. But man, TLA is committing hard to this bottom side.
Yeah, I mean, Hard is really giving up the top side of his jungle for this, and you can kind of see the ramifications right now as Tuesday's able to grab that blue buff for himself, and Wiggly's CS lead is going to grow if he sticks around up there and tries to steal some more. Actually going to back out for his own buffs now. But yeah, Hard is making a conscious decision to try and get this Kai'Sa ahead.
I think
knowing the top lane's winning on its own.
Right, and it works well with having to play around the enemy Graves that's going to be looking to find and skirmish with you, right? If you don't want to run into him on the top side of the map, just say forget the top side of the map. Walk away from it. Invest resources elsewhere. Fallen Bandit barely getting himself away from those chains. Still hanging on here in this 1v1, but that grip is not super tight right now. Still trying to survive underneath this turret. Does have his jungler nearby in case there's any kind of a dive. Of course, Hard is not around right now.
Viper has some decent wards, and so Wiggly's just going to show up in lane to try and push this out for himself. Did not feel like he was going to get out of the W in time, so Fallen Bandit actually burns his flash to make sure he doesn't get pulled back into Viper, who forced a flash in a 1v2.
Wanted to make sure Viper couldn't flash on him and get some sort of a Deathbringer stance killer auto, having flashbacks towards that team fighting game number... can't remember if it was 3 or 2. The one where he flashed forward and got the single auto attack. Oh, it was the last game because he killed the Corki with it. Yeah, definitely can't be giving those over. Fallen Bandit expends the summoner spell, gets himself away, and bottom side just keeps on pushing up.
And I want to make a note about all these hard ganks that are coming in. Basically, since the start of the series, his most effective gank has been a bot lane through lane into the back brush that's not getting warded enough by CLG Academy's bot lane. And it's actually a little disappointing to see them continue to fall prone to that. If you cast your mind back to the Olaf gank where he was basically able to walk on top of Otto because of that.
Yeah.
And then they do it 2 more times this game. And CLG warding patterns are getting absolutely exploited in the early game.
Which is a good recognition from Team Liquid Academy, saying, hey, we know where these guys fall short in their vision. Let's just keep hitting it over and over again, and Hard's going to just pull right up to his usual spot. Sweeps it out just to make sure, but
yeah, I mean,
now he's really far.
It's a good communication, too, because what's always happening here for people who might not have ever heard pro comms, they are absolutely discussing the fact that they have lane control, they've been pushing up, and that they haven't seen the enemy ward those brushes. And so a large part of this not only comes from Hard's recognition, but the bot lane's communication with him to set up these kinds of plays. And it's just part of just a great team cohesion overall that we keep saying TLA usually has to match CLG, despite the fact that CLG ahead in the series right now.
Ahead in the series, ahead ever so slightly in this game if you don't count Infernal Drakes. But considering Infernal Drakes still count, I would call it anybody's game at this point in time. Wiggly will farm up his own Raptor camp, just continuing to try to scale up on this Graves. Does have a CS advantage over the Trundle. And like you said, they wanted to put him on something that has a little bit more of his own control as mid lane. It's the cleanse being used from Tuesday. Shockwave not going to find anyone. Insanity and Hard walking their way away from that one. Shen ultimate also used from Phil as mid lane as Viper recognizing that Tuesday doesn't have summoner spells, trying to go after him, landing even more damage. Tuesday can't find any way out of this one, and Viper grabs kill number 2 for his team.
Nice collapse by Viper and able to make that play without committing his TP. Did flash forward, but overall a really intelligent play after the rest of TLA worked together to get the flash out of Tuesday and the cleanse. Smart collapse in there, making his way back up to the top side now to collect the wave. And that's what you get with top pressure, able to roam around on the map and make plays without having to use your global cooldown.
Yeah, Fallen Bandits not feeling very good in this 1 versus 1. This feels much more reminiscent of game number 2 than game number 3 on this Poppy versus Aatrox performance. And now Wiggly decides he's thoroughly in control over the top side of the jungle. He'll go for the Rift Herald as we take one more look at how the play happened mid.
Yeah, working well around the vision control. Able to land the Drowsy is really what kicks this off and allows it to work well. And then they get the flash out Tuesday. Shenol comes in, Oriol whiffs. Joey walks forward and actually interrupts it. And that's actually pretty important because the Poppy cancels the TP and the fight disengages while Viper's still in the area. So Viper can just drop his ult and use the move speed you get from it to charge Tuesday down. The flash Q misses, but it was just really cutting off Tuesday's escape path. Viper also missed the W, but you know, that's when you know it's a good play that you made, is because you don't actually have to execute on it very well. It's a
zoning Q.
It's a great conceptual play when you can miss a couple Qs in your W and be like, yeah, I'm still getting that kill though.
I had a Zoe joke there, I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, a little different. A little different of a theory.
Insanity. Speaking of Zoe, we'll continue farming up here in the mid lane. He has fallen behind Tuesday a bit in terms of farm, 105 to 120. Tuesday does also have the Rift Herald summoned here behind him by Wiggly, so they'll knock down this tier 1 turret of TLA. That's first turret going over to CLG, keeps the gold nice and even. The bottom side, Shoryu and Joey using all this attention they've been getting from Hard to control this lane, keep it pushed up, and they'll take down a tier 1 turret of their own.
Yeah, and as much as we've been talking kind of about TLA and all the stuff that they're doing well, I mean, CLG is actually, you know, only 600 gold behind. They are down the Infernal Drake, which might be the biggest factor up until this point, but they're instantly starting out this Mountain Drake for themselves. TLA are in a position to contest, so I don't know if they're going to try and actually commit to that, or if they were just trying to abuse TLA hopefully backing after taking the bot lane turret. So either way, TLA are going to take this, but overall, not too bad. Wiggly has built himself a pretty big lead. They have a very strong comp on CLG side, lots of tanks as well as utility with the Orianna, so they're definitely in an okay spot, and if they can continue to find good team fights like they seemingly have done all series long, post 20 minutes, they can very easily come back in this game.
CLG Academy not controlling the area around the Drake pit for now, not super concerned about it. They do have a ward in the pit. We saw Team Liquid hanging around there earlier as well. Viper continuing to push up here in the top side, just putting a few auto attacks into that tier 1 turret. Can't quite find the chains on the Fallen Bandit, does find a little bit of damage with the Q. And Bandit will just continue trying to clear these waves out. Is once again working on the fact that he has to deal with an opponent who can rush Black Cleaver due to the nature of the matchup, while he has to go for the early Ninja Tabbies. So he won't have his first big item online at the same time his opponent will. As Hard decides to go over the wall with the flash into the pillar now. Shoryu says thanks for the plasma. I'll come in and clean this one up. And Hard says no, you won't. Secures the kill for himself. And that's number 2 for the jungler from TLA.
That's a really heads-up play. They had done a good enough job while fighting for vision control to notice where every member on CLG Academy was. So once Auto shows on the bot side, they realize no one is going to be able to protect him. And Hard goes for a very aggressive flash pillar, but like I said, gives the plasma for Shoryu to get in there, securing them the second Drake of the game for themselves.
Drake number 2 for TLA, looking a lot like things we're looking for CLG in terms of Drake control in the last game, making sure they've got possession over all those. But the problem is, it's not triple Infernal this time, Mark. It's Garage Sale Drakes. We've got 1 Infernal, 1 Earth, Cloud's coming up next. There's a whole hodgepodge of junk in there. So you're not getting any of those big stack bonuses.
Oh my god, the one-shot potential is still there on Zoe.
Damage nerfed, though.
Damage was nerfed, though. Don't worry. 101 Zoe with a 10 boots and a lost chapter. Don't worry.
Sometimes you just gotta sit back and enjoy the ride, but the ride is straight back to the spawn platform there for Wiggly, who will take another look at how this happened.
And they have a ward, but just not at that angle. Unfortunately, gets slept over the wall. There's the ignite, the electrocute, the damages. Don't forget electrocute was nerfed too. And there you go, there's a kill. And I gotta say, stepping back for a second, an Insanity who has not played Zoe competitively yet, to bust it out on the nerfed version and still be blowing people up is a good look for him.
Absolutely a good look for him. We talked about how he was the one who played the LeBlanc earlier that just completely ran over the game in the win that Team Liquid Academy found for themselves in game number 2. But now it's topside. Fight's breaking out. Wiggly tries to make his way into it. Hard's able to drop the pillar, keep him out of the way. A killing spree now for the Team Liquid Academy jungler. TP's coming in from both sides. Viper decides it's maybe time to go forward. Instead, pumps the brakes on that one a little bit. Fallen Bandit looks to knock somebody up into the air, able to find the damage and the CC on to Shoryu. Brings him down, makes this one 1-for-1.
Can't get sloppy around Fallen Bandit. He'll find that wall, pin Shoryu up against it, and gets the kill back, making that a 1-for-1 after what looked like a great teleport completion by TLA, because I thought for sure after that kill they were just going to siege down this turret, but the fact that they get the trade back makes sure they're able to keep that one up for themselves.
CLG Academy will be happy to take a 1-for-1 trade with the current state of the game. Let's see how they did it one more time.
So right away, Hard is in a good position to cancel this out. Able to drop onto Phil right away, and then the ultimate comes in, starts zoning CLG from any potential trade back onto Shoryu, who then starts walking forward, takes the ultimate in, and then that puts him in a bit of an awkward position where he walks the long way through the wall as opposed to backing off through the tri-brush and gets punished for it. And good recognition there by Fallen Bandit, like we said, on the Poppy.
Fallen Bandit's Poppy, 2-0-0 this game, significantly far behind in terms of farm. He's actually still 800 gold down compared to his lane opponent, but at least he's trying to keep himself relevant with those kills. His participation in the game so far is there. His bottom side now, he's stuck in a 1-versus-1 against Viper, has the Sunfire cape, but remember, Viper with a Black Cleaver and his innate healing just doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely to the point where Poppy 50 CS behind and up a kill. Cannot do anything about the Aatrox, and luckily for Poppy, Aatrox is not quite the sit in front of your turret and take it as you try and do anything about it. Is Insanity getting engaged on?
Insanity finds himself Shockwave. Wiggly comes around from the side, says, how do you like the one shot? Granted, it's a one shot from 30%, but still,
with the help of two other people,
he takes him down hard.
Yeah, good job getting the kill there by Wiggly. We'll see if they can grab anything off of it, because they already have the mid-outer down, and that's going to create a lot of pressure here. They're not actually going to walk forward. Wasn't sure if they're going to try and siege this down and force TLA to react. Not the case, so they want to go topside.
Oh, Wiggly's about to be in for a very rude awakening as he approaches this brush. Shoryu puts the damage into him, finds one kill for the side of TLA. They're not concerned about going after anybody else just yet. They'll be happy with that one.
I think Phil clicked Tuesday of all people before to drop the ult. I think Wiggly was still alive when he could have channeled him there. That was actually a situation where TLA might have been able to get punished because they used all their damage onto Wiggly, and if he had the Shen shield to come on top with the Ori shield, they might have been able to keep him alive, and then they actually have a numbers advantage there. So maybe a mistake by Phil. Maybe if we get another look at that, we can see for sure. But a nice answer by TLA, who knew that that mid pressure after the pickoff was going to come rotate up to them, and so they brush camped waiting for it. Still a very intelligent play by the bot lane.
And that means Team Liquid Academy can also pick up their second outer turret of this game. Brings that gold lead up to about 3,000, sitting pretty 19 minutes in the game. Means Baron is spawning here in just under 60 seconds, and Cloud Drake spawning just over that amount as we once again take a look at the fateful face check.
Because right here, this is a 4v2 if they can keep Wiggly alive. The shield comes in, ult comes down, and yeah, Shenolf just misclicks onto Tuesday. Couldn't get his cursor in the right position. And Wiggly is going to go down. Might not have had enough of a shield really to keep him alive anyways, so hard to say, but still want to see
Never know
the attempt work out correctly at least.
CLG Academy finding themselves behind, but not as far behind as they were in the last game. Shockwave comes out. We've seen 3 Shockwaves from Tuesday this game. The second one was the last one that we saw onto Insanity Zoe that set up the kill onto him, but both the other 2 have been complete whiffs. Not quite where you want your accuracy to be here in this game from Tuesday, who had such a phenomenal performance on the Corki. Feeling a little hot and cold right now.
Yep. And it's a little tough for them because without the Poppy there, they don't really have a great ball delivery system. And they have not comboed together really yet. But at the same time, yeah, don't pull the trigger if you're not going to be able to to land it. So Tuesday has a lot to work on for this game, and they got what feels like a long time to do it because this game is, well, 2K roughly in TLA's favor. It doesn't feel like this game is going to be ending anytime soon, but that's what we said the past 3 other games.
Mirage Sail Drakes are fully online now as soon as Team Liquid Academy finishes beating up this Cloud Drake. They'll grab that one for themselves. That is complete control over those neutral objectives maintained by this squad so far this game. Otto and Phil take the opportunity saying, all right, they're committing bodies towards the bottom part of the map. Let's commit towards the top part of the map. Grab our second tier 1 turret here. Glacial Fissure used by Joey at the entrance to the CLG jungle. Not able to find anything really with that. He went for the flash there as well, but just didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, unfortunate there by Joey, but nice answer by CLG Academy, and this is one of the things that people talk about with the higher seeded Academy teams is that they are able to trade out sides of the map much better, which is something that is one of the first things you start learning how to do correctly in competitive play, like knowing where the enemy wants to spend their pressure and resources so you can use yours on the other side of the map and avoid a direct confrontation from behind. And so overall, as Tuesday lands another shockwave to shut you up, very quickly, CLG is able to make a good trade because I think the turret on the top side gold, increasing that deficit, is much more impactful than the Cloud Drake. So good to see CLG making the right moves.
Will Team Liquid be able to make the right moves to maintain their lead? Remember again, game number 3, they were comfortably far ahead, and it was a bad team fight that they took at the entrance to their own jungle, not even pushing up into enemy territory, that ended up costing them the flow of that game. Bottom side, Viper versus Fallen Bandit. Again, not a fight Fallen Bandit's going to be feeling too good about. Viper trying to find some damage with those Qs, not really having a hard time making that happen. Chains come out, but they won't pull Fallen Bandit back. Shield does get thrown off. Fallen Bandit wants to go after that one, but Viper's like, okay, all right, I'll respect the Poppy.
Yeah, I mean, Fallen Bandit having a great trade there. And, you'll probably never kill Viper. Hold on, look on Hard.
There come the Chains of Corruption. Hard gets himself away. Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds its way down to Wiggly. It's not going to be followed up on. Hard still taken very low here. Fallen Bandit wanting to go in. TP into the flash. The shutdown credit goes over to Wiggly. Viper TP's into the fight. However, the shockwave reigns true. Over the wall comes the ulti. And right as I curse it myself, Team Liquid Academy ends up losing a fight on their half of the map.
Great play by CLG Academy, and that trade that Fallen Bandit won. Hold on, Tuesday getting caught out.
Very, very low, nearly going to be taken down. Shoryu goes underneath the turret, able to find himself one. Can they find anything else? Can they get themselves away? Fallen Bandit trying to chase after, doesn't want to go any further. Team Liquid Academy gets something off the back end of the fight.
Absolutely huge to pick that up. The concern there is if TLA cannot contest the potential Baron, it's still very early in the game, so maybe they wouldn't be able to do it as, oh my god, wait, found the flash. Bye. Here you go, Zoe finding some more kills, and with those 2 kills found now, that's the top and the mid down. TLA can start looking at this Baron buff potentially. I mean, there's still a fair amount of threat available for CLG to potentially force them off this. A bit dangerous here.
Top and mid down with staggered death timers. Fallen Bandit not coming back for another 25 seconds. Graves ulti over the wall. Insanity down to 100 HP. Baron down to 2,000. Over the wall they go, but they won't be able to do it. It's Team Liquid Academy Baron. 23 minutes in.
Wiggly able to got into the pit, but couldn't get the kill on the Baron buff. And first off, I want to say, Fallen Bandit did a great job winning that fight down the bot side, which translates into this fight in the top lane. They open up onto Trundle, which doesn't look great because the Braum gets in range to kind of counter-engage this one. But the 2 TPs are so different. The Poppy can complete hers and actually chase down onto Hard and finish him off, whereas Aatrox literally TPs in, pops his ult, loses his ult, and then dies. And that's all due to Fallen Bandit's better trading down the bot side, setting that situation up. And you think they're going to try and turn that onto the Baron buff. There's no smite down, but Tuesday gets engaged on the rest of his team. Also, you can kind of blame for not helping him there. No one escorted Tuesday out from the mid lane as they all kind of booked it up to the top side of the map. A bit of a mistake by both members of that party there. And as a result, TLA walk away with the Baron.
TLA with Baron. Now the question is, what do you get from it? You got the 3 Drakes under your belt too. You've got the damage from the Infernal. You've got the objective pushing power from the Mountain Drake. Phil's waiting over the wall here in that Raptor pit to see what he can find. Viper continues pushing up here in the bottom side. Wiggly clears out some vision, tries to get himself away, has to step away from the Sleepy Trouble puddle. Team Team Liquid Academy continues the 4-man push here in the mid lane, but it's Bill over the wall, into the back line, trying to find the taunt. Chains of Corruption make their way onto the TLA carries, but there's no follow-up.
Yeah, Hex Flash blown, so not actually using the real thing there, and you can see the rest of the team was not quite ready for that to be a hard commit as Fallen Bandit was making his way back down the bot side. Just seeing if you could get something for free. Ate some damage as a result, but got out just fine.
Sleepy Trouble, nope. No Paddle Star to follow it up. Instead, it's going to be Tier 2 taken down by TLA. Go up to a 6,000 gold lead, 3 turret advantage, 3 Drake advantage, 3 kill advantage. It's all coming up lucky threes for Team Liquid Academy. And they're keeping 2 lanes pushed with this Baron buff. Still another 90 seconds on that one for this pressure to continue.
See if they can break an inhib with that last minute and a half remaining. They have decent siege tools with the Zoe Trundle being able to poke away, but what we saw out of a lot of these teams, when they get leads like this, they often try and end the game as fast as they can. They go for the jugular, they'll pop some ults. We'll see if they decide to do that. They have a little bit of time to poke away first, and that will get them the turret themselves.
The turret down with Viper's ult up and him actually having a full health bar this time to work with it. I would expect him to continue pushing up like this. Bottom lane inhibitor will not be defended by CLG Academy. TLA take that one down at 26 minutes. Mark, this may be the first game that hits 30.
We'll see. They've still got time.
They still got 3.5 minutes.
But back off and go for the Drake, as well as then needing to reset with no Baron buff means you're more than likely correct. But if CLG take a fight, could be their last.
Second Mountain Drake of the game, 4th Elemental Drake total going down there. That one going the way of Team Liquid Academy once again. So much control over this game exerted by this team. The difference between this game and last game isn't that they didn't make the mistake that they made last game, because yeah, they lost 2-0 on their own side of the map. The difference is they were able to immediately strike back, find a 2-0 in their favor, and take the Baron. They seem to have learned a lesson from game number 3.
That, as well as not being up against an opponent with double or triple Infernal Drakes, means that when you do make that mistake, it's not quite as damaging. So TLA's better Drake control of this game really helping them out, so that when that mistake did come in, they were able to bounce back right away.
Baron buff just about out here for Team Liquid Academy, as they will no longer have that bonus pushing power. Still 1 Tier 2 turret left for them to take on the map that will be standing there in the top lane. Is that the call, or do you just go for the fight? Void Seeker not finding its way onto Tuesday means no extra poke for TLA right now, but CLG, they got to be careful in these fights, Mark. Their opponents just got over 4,000 gold from Baron power play. If they manage to win another big team fight, they can probably just march it down and win the game.
Yeah, definitely a strong position to be in. Looking at the items, though, they are still in a pretty competitive spot on CLG's side. There's a fair amount of resources spent by Shoryu on defensive tools. Picking up the QSS and the stopwatch means that both are on 2 items in terms of damage. Even a little bit ahead for Otto, picking up the Zeal on that back right now. So he's in an all right spot. Obviously, Insanity is ahead with 3 kills. A bit of an advantage in the jungle and the top lane, but all things considered, CLG not completely out, but it's looking pretty bad.
The thing that I'm worried about if I'm CLG, once again, my Poppy, full armor to deal with the Aatrox, going up against a Zoe and a Kaisa. There's a lot of damage that can just absolutely bust this tank in a team fight. CLG Academy will need to find a very good pick, a very good initiation into these fights if they want to win them. We've seen a couple of those so far. We've also seen a couple not work out just quite where they need them. Sleepy Trouble bubble down onto Otto. No follow-up coming through. The Paddle Star was used right beforehand, so didn't really have the opportunity to follow that one up how he wanted. Minions pushing down the bottom side, creating this constant pressure, and in 90 seconds, Mark, Baron is live again with TLA controlling the entirety of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, they're just mostly posturing up here around the top side. They don't want to let CLG breathe, so they keep themselves all the way pushed up in their base, getting vision control so that when that Baron spawns in just over a minute, they can fall right back to it instantly and already have the vision control completed. And hey, if you land some good Zoe poke and you do manage to find someone, then you can instantly convert it into more inhibitors taken. So using their map pressure very well to set themselves to get the next Baron when it spawns.
Top lane siege continues. Trouble bubble over the wall. No follow-up just yet. Hard's hanging around on the side just in case anything gets spicy. You can throw a pillar over the wall, stop any sort of an engage. The call from Team Liquid Academy, look at the backs. Everybody's going home at once. They're saying, go back to base, pick up your control wards, sell off that garbage, make sure we're ready here for this Baron play. They think this could probably be the game ender if they get it.
7 control wards in the inventory, really ready to fight for that vision control. And CLG also grabbing theirs as well, but it's going to be a little bit tougher when you're down this far, and you have to deal with some super creeps piling in on the bot side, which draws Poppy down there, meaning you don't get the big tank to face check bushes.
If you face check something with someone other than Poppy, or maybe even with Poppy, TLA is waiting in that brush. You're not walking away with your screen in beautiful, vivid color. Just put it that way. It's Team Liquid Academy. 2 seconds left on the Baron spawn. They're already waiting in the pit. Here we go. Baron started up by the side of TLA. CLGA coming in to stop this as fast as they can. They got to move everybody in there rather quickly. Otto's a little bit behind everyone else. Still going to be taken down to half HP. Baron telling the same story. TLA keeping it aggroed for now. They have got the TP out of Fallen Bandit, which is enough for TLA to count as a win right now. The minions are marching up the bottom lane. CLGA has to make the decision. What do you do here? Do you commit to the fight? Do you go back? Do you stop it? The inhibitor's only just now respawning, and if left alone, it will be taken down by that super minion yet again. Fallen Bandit goes back to base, still has TP available. Did not actually use it before. Ready to come back into that fight. Just walked his way over here initially. Team Liquid Academy once again back on the Baron. Fallen Bandit on minion duty.
Yeah, CLG Academy actually doing a great job contesting this. In fact, Fallen Bandit walked over the first time for the first contest, was able to run back, get back there in time to protect the inhibitor turret, and still have his TP. Phil recalling as well, maybe a little quick on the TP, or the ultimate back, but he wanted to get wards down to make sure that they had vision, prioritizing that over the shield. And that allows CLG to actually stall out that initial Baron push pretty well.
This is such a tense moment for CLG Academy as Tuesday has a nice flash over the wall, but the Drowsy down onto Wiggly will likely seal his fate. He's taken very low. Stasis coming out onto the Braum, and Shoryu grabs the kill on a Wiggly. Phil now having to run himself away from the fight. Damage coming back though. Tuesday grabs the kill onto Shoryu. Has to try to get himself away as now Fallen Bandit's taken very, very low, trying to hobble his way out of this fight. The chains come down. Tuesday's going to be yoinked back right into the waiting arms of TLA. And Viper grabs the kill onto him. It's 3 dead on the side of CLG for only the AD carry of Team Liquid, and they may just push for the win.
All things considered, a good fight by CLG, but it's just too little too late as the 4 members of TLA are left alive. They also have a minion wave to work with. Flash forward by Insanity.
Here comes the trouble bubble. Otto's taken low. Insanity grabs the rampage kill onto him. That's going to be a kill onto Phil as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going the distance on this one. Game number 5 coming at you up next as TLA find their second win.
3rd series in a row in Academy Worlds, going to Game 5, baby. That's how we do it.
That's how we do it here in NA. Academy Worlds going the distance. Team Liquid Academy showing they can bounce back as well. Blow for blow for blow for blow. This team, this fight, everything about this series, both teams are just slobber knocking each other.
And it's crazy because it's the same sides every single time, and it's always the winning team who has side selection. So now we get to see if TLA want to buck the trend of this, because if it continues, that means CLG is going to win.
Do you change it up at the very end? Do we get the curveball right at the very end of the series? We'll have to see. I'm not 100% sure. But once again, hard on the Trundle. Both TLA victories so far have been hard on the Trundle, making plays, facilitating the team, making everything happen. If I'm CLG, I don't want to play against hard on Trundle.
I agree. It's the second most played this split behind the Kindred, and it is exactly what TLA wants. They need something with control in the jungle that gets tanky because you have a lot of crazy fighters in the top lane for Viper, and more recently for Insanity as well. He's picking up a couple of those. We saw the LeBlanc, we've seen the Akali, kind of going back more to standard with recent Galio and, of all things, Zoe games. But yeah, this is going to be tough for CLG because there's a couple in-game adaptations I want to see them make when I was talking about that warding stuff in the bot lane and a lot of the free kills they're giving up down there, as well as just what do you do in the draft, because you've been on the same side 5 times in a row and things have worked and the same things haven't worked.
We will find out all in game number 5, but for more on the game we just watched, let's send it over to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. I salute you and everything you've done so far with your commentary.
Why do you do this?
I don't know. Because I can. I don't know. It's just the way it is. They've already muted. I'm on camera. No one listens to me. Unmute now. Biofrost is here to talk about this game. What an exciting one.
Oh my god.
This, as a bot lane player, just watching that game made me feel really, really sad. I mean, Hard was just constantly camping bot. He was there for like minute 2, minute 3. Like, he was just there the entire time. It was basically a 2v3.
Yeah.
I'm actually astonished that CLG's bot lane didn't end up like dying more. So that's definitely good of them. But I think Hard's Trundle is something that TLA needs to keep trying to draft for him, and CLG needs to honestly ban it.
Yeah, he's very comfortable at early pillar ganks. Like when he went mid in that game where they were playing Caston, he's like, I'm gonna level 2 gank this with pillar, no problem. Then he went bottom lane and it was just constant. The pillar ganks are actually very clean from him.
And the flash pillars.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So of course, team comp on a graphic right here. We'll get into the bot lane ganks pretty soon here. But yeah, I'll talk about these things we grabbed here. Another Aatrox into Poppy game. It's CLG opting into that matchup time and again. This one looked probably the worst of the 3 for Fallen Bandit. He got behind quite a lot. We're seeing a lot more of the similar bottom lanes here as well. We've got several now Kai'Sa into Varus games down there. Still Tank vs Tank in the bottom lane. But we did see Zoe come out here.
Yes.
Pretty good.
That is feels bad, man, in my mind, because I guess it still means that Zoe is very viable.
I mean, she's always been viable, I feel like.
Yeah, but she just took another nerf in 8.16, and Electrocute got nerfed, and if she's still completely fine, then I'm just like, oh,
She was
man.
still able to one-shot Graves in the river.
It required the bubble, though. So
Yeah, I mean,
it required
everything goes
everything.
Also, I think Graves was trolling by buying Ninja Tabby when he's against Kai'Sa Zoe as the
Yeah.
primary damage threat, and it's like, Aatrox is not going to auto-attack you. Kai'Sa's auto-attacks don't matter. Trundle will not auto-attack you ever. It is objectively wrong to buy Tabby when he could have had Hexdrinker and then lived through that.
Yeah, and that aside, like, I think that for me, it's a feels bad, man, because the Zoe being good and then the Fizz taking heavy nerfs when Fizz was emerging as the counter
Sure.
pick, you can't now blind pick the Zoe again because you had to fear the Fizz in like the last week of the NLCS.
I think Fizz is still very good, personally. Fizz did get nerfed, but I think he's still like worth counterpicking if you have the champion.
The
pool.
pattern is still.
I mean,
really
I don't know
good
what
against it.
you got about this. We should get the LCS
Yeah.
player in here on the matchups. I understand Zoe's very strong, but like, I mean, what have you seen about this?
As a support player,
Zoe's fair. Yeah.
I personally hate playing against Zoe. I don't know if Fizz is gonna arise like a counter in the last game, but I think they're gonna look at that game and they're not gonna think about Zoe first. They're gonna think about, okay, Trundle's an issue and Aatrox is an issue because they've like first picked Aatrox a couple times, and I think Aatrox just gets pressure on the lane, and I don't think Poppy's really turning out to be like a great pick. It's kind of just, okay, I'm gonna lose laning phase and I have slightly better team fight, but TLA's style has been winning off of their lane pressure, and Aatrox is a good pick for that. And same with Trundle, because Trundle is setting up a lot of the early leads that TLA's getting.
So do you think CLGA can actually get pressure though in Fallen Bandit versus Viper? Like, he did the Riven in game 1 and the Riven didn't win, but like that was pressure and the Aatrox has been pressure. Like, I think that just happens on player matchups.
Yeah, so this might just be their plan. They're like, okay, well, let's give them Aatrox, and we have a plan around that. We can't really avoid the fact that Viper is just gonna play all these super aggressive champions and try to win lane, but we're just gonna play for team fight.
Yeah, you'd be seeing something like a Fiora come out against the top lane.
Kennen,
Aatrox,
Jace,
right?
all that stuff is
Like,
going to be applicable.
Sack the matchup.
Irelia,
team fight, right?
Even a better team fighter in case of like Irelia and stuff like that, right? So like Aatrox can be kited, I feel like. So I personally like giving up Aatrox because they force the first pick and you counter pick and you could get your own priorities afterwards. But I mean, I agree, Trundle's obviously very huge and whatnot. Now we do have the most tilt-inducing bot lane camp of all time. A reel of hard camping bot lane.
This reel is not intended for bot lane players. If you were a bot lane player, you will rage for about 5 minutes. But this was hard. Look at the jungle proximity in the bottom left corner. The average for the series is 10.7% for bottom lane jungle proximity. And for the league average, it's 13%. He spent 32% of his time bottom lane. This one, he's like, I'm just gonna flash and then go straight over the wall.
Flashes for ult distance also. They burn 2 flashes to get into range for their spells.
Yeah, this means he spent because jungle proximity is the first 3 to 15 minutes. In that 12-minute window, he spent 4 minutes bottom lane. And that's not even just like farming bottom jungle. He is literally super close to his bot laner.
Yeah, to shore you.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with disgusting. But as you mentioned, I mean, as much props as you can give to Otto and Phil for looking pretty okay with how crap that matchup must have been. Just unfortunately, there was no other pressure valve for CLG. This is finally a game where TLA had lane pressure and actually stacked objectives. They got the first 4 Drakes in a row. I don't remember who got Rift Trail, but I assume it was TLA as well. So finally, they were able to convert on their early pressure.
I just feel really bad for CLG's bottom lane in general. Just watching that made me feel like, okay, we should be getting something, right, guys?
Yeah.
But they weren't really getting anything, and
Yeah.
that's just really disheartening in the game.
Yeah, it was sure 32% jungle proximity for hard on the bottom side, but Wiggly had 35% jungle proximity mid. He's taking the enemy raptors on cooldown. He's going towards mid lane, but it's the Zoe that's just wave clearing from afar. And then he got one shot by the Zoe in a combo, and it just kind of relieved all of the pressure that he had later. So
Yeah.
it was kind of all for naught, and it didn't amount to anything when Wiggly was putting pressure in a different lane. So like you said, it's that frustrating thing where it's like, we're getting camped. What are you doing? And
Yeah.
he's not getting anything on the other side of the map done.
It seems like a lot of those matchups weren't like quite gankable. Like, I guess you can go for shockwaves on Zoe, then okay, she could burn flash, and
Yep.
okay, now that kind of works. But you have to like, I think, outplay pretty hard as the Poppy to like get behind Aatrox for the dash to work, whereas like a pillar makes your ganks happen. Like Graves not the best ganker, so I don't know. Did you feel like there were things that Wiggly could have done with how much sort of telegraphing was coming out from Trundle?
I think pretty much that game, there wasn't really that much that Wiggly could have done because of the matchups and how the lanes are like set up. What I probably wanted to see more is maybe just like protecting the bot lane from all those ganks, just like covering. Maybe saying, okay, we might possibly get ganked here. I need cover, and if they counter gank, they can actually win a 3v3.
That was the first gank, right?
Yeah.
Where they had the TP in, and they actually came out on top on that
2
one.
for 1 or something, right?
Yeah. Came out on top for that one, and the flashes were burned, and that's what made the Trundle keep coming bottom, right?
Yeah.
So I actually like that idea of maybe they should have played around bottom lane.
Yeah, maybe Wiggly could have tracked him better, right? Gotten the deep wards. I don't know if Graves normally takes Ghost Poro. I don't have a recollection of that one, but like that maybe is an option in some cases, or probably not. He's probably just sorcery water walking like every time.
Yeah,
right? So-
because precision, right?
Yeah, obviously you're sorting precision. So okay, maybe that's not quite possible, but you know, spend the time to get trinkets down, spend the time to get an aggressive control ward down. Maybe some of that could have been done better to track. Obviously that's very hard. Good junglers are good. Either way, good junglers are good. Analysis. This is why I'm the host. Dash, take notes. Either way, we have a replay of the final team fight of the game that TLA took to win this one and tie up the series. And look, it's a Trundle pillar.
Yep, the Flash Trundle pillar to start it all off. He really understands how to abuse that and make it just so that the fight, even with low engage tools, is one that's going to stick.
And yeah, it just feels like kind of trying to run away. And it feels like they're turning back a couple of times. Like the Orianna's walking back, throwing some attacks. Like Shen's sticking around as well to do actually nothing.
It's like there's no HP on the Varus. The Orianna has no mana. You're not going to be able
Yeah.
to get through that.
That's the kind of thing where I feel like if 3 of them live, they can maybe hold a Nexus turret.
Yeah.
They probably still lose the game in you know 85, 95% of cases, but I feel like players limp in a bit too much to fights when they're already losing. Like,
Yeah.
does someone get to make the call like, hey, I'm dead, just go Nexus?
I think it's really hard for, like, at least in the game, you're like, okay, let's just leave this guy and everyone else run, when you still feel like you have a chance to win.
Right.
Yeah, so in the game, I mean, that's what ends up happening to me all the time. Like, well, let's try to win, guys.
I'll
and
help
we all
you,
die.
Trevor. Damn it.
Yeah, and we all die, and then we just lose the game. And we're like, wait, we just lost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think of some. I think it was a Shen game earlier where he was like popping off in the season, and you were just like all over the map, and it was like, wait, how did we lose this one? I remember that because we were like, let's make a Biofrost highlight reel of him being all over the map, and he lost. And I was like, really? What happened?
1v9
Anyway.
Shen, not enough.
Yeah.
Unlucky. Okay, so we're going to game 5. I'm pretty confident TLA is going to pick blue here. They get side choice in game 5, so we're going to.
Confident.
It's pretty likely. I don't think they're going to suddenly switch things around. They're getting pretty good picks, it feels like. So what do we see coming out of game 5? Who's going to win the series? I want that prediction, because this will be the last time we probably talk until the series is over.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say CLG is going to win. I'm not biased.
I can't imagine why.
I'm not biased at all, but I think there's a couple things that CLG needs to do. They need to get the Trundle away, either pick it themselves, because it seems like TLA, they're not like first picking it, so technically then CLG can take it away. Wiggly plays it for sure. Or if they don't want to play it, then they can ban it. And I think in both games, Trundle was like the main reason why TLA got most of the leads. First in the casting game, and then this game with like the bot lane.
Yeah, put him on a farming jungler so he doesn't get the ganks off.
Yeah, it's been really interesting back and forth because I actually think TLA has a stronger percentage chance of winning. Like if they just kept playing over and over again, I think you'd eventually get to a place where TLA is winning like 6
builds
out of
up,
4, right?
yeah.
But CLG, I feel like they've been more in control in the draft, and then it's just like they mess up one thing, right? It's like, oh, this matchup doesn't go quite their way. And I feel like if they just tighten that up, then they can really even it up. But I would say TLA, given what I've seen in the series so far, and it would be pending another kind of like what I would call a little bit of a snafu in the draft for CLG, where I don't think the composition comes completely together.
Okay, well, let's see what it comes down to. It's Game 5. Silver Scrapes is on the board. We've got ourselves a series coming up after this one. Team Liquid Academy versus Counterlogic Gaming returns right after this.
Those two TPs going to be coming in. Shoryu stunned up against the wall. First blood goes over to Fallen Bandit as Hard decides to go over the wall with the flash into the pillar now. Shoryu says thanks for the plasma. I'll come in and clean this one up. And Hard says, no, you won't. Look on Hard. There comes the Chains of Corruption. Hard gets himself away. Sleepy Trouble Bubble finds its way down to Wiggly. It's not going to be followed up on. Hard still taken very low here. Fallen Bandit wanted to go in for TP. The flash, the shutdown credit goes over to Wiggly. Viper TP's into the fight. However, the shockwave reigns true over the... Such a tense moment for CLG Academy as Tuesday has a nice flash over the wall, but the Drowsy down onto Wiggly will likely seal his fate. He's taken very low. Stasis coming out onto the Braum as Shoryu grabs the kill into Wiggly. Phil now having to run himself away from the fight. Damage coming back though. Tuesday grabs the kill onto Shoryu.